So we're making the Bragg's special bread that they have in their book. Build a powerful nerve force. And the recipe, which I just lost the page. Well, we just used 2 1/4 cups of warm water, and I put in 3 tablespoons of honey, and then I had a yeast packet that I took some out of. The Fleshman's here. It's pretty cool. And 2 teaspoons or 3 teaspoons. The one packet was already 2 1/4, so I had to open up a second packet to do it. It's okay. And now it's sitting for about 10 minutes. And I wanted me to stir it in there and just get it nice and sitting in there for about 10 minutes in the warm water. This way the yeast can start dissolving and start activating with the honey, and that's what helps create the yum yums and the little bubblies in the bread. Be back. Gosh, this is the easiest bread recipe ever. Oh my goodness. It's the first time I'm making it. Next is it's been 10 minutes. This mixture of the yeast and the sugar, which is the honey, has been sitting. And now we're putting a cup of wheat germ. Just a teeny bit more, almost a cup. All right, almost a cup, almost. There we go, just a little bit here. Okay, cool. Just a little teeny bit more. All right, we got it. Putting that in here, gonna give it a good stir. I'm still gonna just use this tablespoon thing that I was doing earlier, because why the hell not, right? So we got the wheat germ going in there, and now we're going to put 5 cups of flour in. Might have to move to something else for stirring, but 5 cups of flour, here we go. I got my Robin Hood flour. I keep it in the fridge, that way it doesn't go nasty quick. So we got 1. Yeah, I'm not pristine with my measuring. Kind of hard to do this with the phone in my hand. 2. Stop at 2 for a second, give it a stir. I'm going to get a wooden spoon just because. Don't mind my messy kitchen. I don't have a wooden spoon available. Oh no! Okay, so we're going to have to use a plastic spoon. All right, here we go. Plastic spoon. All right. So that's 2 cups. 2 cups. 2 cups. 2 cups. Okay. Need 5 altogether. Got 2, 3 more. 3 more. 1. Ha ha ha. 2. Ha 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 ha. We'll stir this in and do the 3rd one. Pretty soon I'm gonna have to get to my hands. You see how it's starting to get so thick? Well, we're gonna have to use my hands here shortly. And when I use my hands, I have to come up with different methods of doing this stuff. 3 cups of flour. 5 altogether. So you see it's all nice and thick. All right, so I'm just gonna get my hands in here. I'm gonna dump it on the counter. I'll show you in a minute, but I'm gonna dump it on the counter. We're supposed to knead it for about 5 minutes after I get it all mixed up in there in my hands and get them all messy. So, funny memory, my grandmother was teaching me how to make bread, and she had my little daughter out there, and we had flour all over the floor, and I was starting to kind of take after my mom a little bit and be like, a little bit, like, oh, what about a mess? And she's like, don't be afraid of a mess. You're just going to clean it up later. You know, she was always like, you can make a mess, just clean it up. All right, be right back. Okay, so here's what it looks like in the bowl. It's kind of all mixed up a bit. One thing, we're going to put it on the counter. One thing when you're doing this stuff, you want to put a little flour on the counter or wherever you're working because it gets messy and it gets sticky if you don't. Just a little bit. And I noticed that the recipe is just a little wet right now. So it's okay if I put a little extra down there. If it sticks together a whole lot and it's just kind of sticky a little too much, sometimes it can be a little too wet to work with. But this is a new recipe, so I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt for the most part. So here we go. I got flour on here. It's okay to get a little flour on your hands too because it keeps it from sticking so much. I tell you, I had to wash my hands good after that just to touch my phone again. So we got this in here. I'm going to knead it for 5 minutes. The kneading motion, it's kind of hard to demonstrate with one hand, but you kind of knead it through and then you use to push. You kind of push it and you push. 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 See? Usually you're doing this with 2 hands. And yeah, it's starting to kind of firm up really nice here. I'm getting my powder all over my Fitbit. It was a new birthday present for my husband. It was a good deal, a good thing. I'm happy about it. It tells me what my heart rate is and how much I've slept and all that good stuff. So for about 5 minutes, we're going to just do this. And I'm going to put the phone down because I need to get more flour in my hands and everything else. But we're going to pick it back up here in a minute. We're going to make 2 loaves out of this. Okay, we have our 2 loaves here. They're not shaped in any way, shape, or form yet, but they're separated out. Kneaded them for 5 minutes. So I've got my pans out here. I put pastry liners in the bottom instead of a bunch of oil. It seems to work really well. So you can just pop them right out when you're done. You know, it's hard to shape and everything with one hand. I will get some sort of camera forward thing. This one's actually not too bad, just like that. That one made it quite well. Stick it in the pan, bickety bam. We're going to put it, that was not too bad either, what the hell. Usually I fold them in and make a nice smooth shape, and I'll demonstrate that probably in the future, but this one's going to be fun just how it is, because we're doing it like this. And so we're going to put it in the oven just to warm up a little bit. My oven, they want you to put it in an oven that says 80 degrees. My oven only goes down to, it's digital, it only goes down to 170. So I'm kind of nervous. It's the first time. I usually just leave it on the counter. It's a warm day. Fuck, it is warmer than 80 degrees just in the house, I think. But what you can do is, they say to 80 degrees, put it in the oven with the door open, just cracked, you know, and then leave it in there for an hour or so. I'm going to double check and I'll get back to you. So I'm going to go put them in there and we'll check in on them in a bit. So here's our bread bits. Grandma always taught me to put a towel over top just to make sure that it kind of keep the heat in. But I want to show you a little peek. I put a little sprinkle of a teaspoon of sesame seeds on top and just kind of patted them in with the back of the spoon. That's my own little touch. Even the Bragg recipe, it has, you can add all sorts of stuff into there later on. I just figured I'd do, for the most part, the recipe the first time. So my oven did not have the ability to do the temperature right, so I put it to 170, let some heat come up, and just left this cracked for a little bit, and then turned it off, hoping that's probably going to be good enough. It is a summer's day, so I'm not worried. In the winter, I would do something a little differently. So we still have about 35 minutes left. It's got to sit here and raise. It's doing its thing. It's already gotten a bit bigger, I can tell. So we're letting it raise, and then when it's time, we'll pop it in the oven, and it'll be baking. Yay! See you in a bit. Okay, here we got the bread. We were away for a little bit longer than I thought, but looks pretty good. It's all raised up, and so the oven set to 350. The recipe set in between 350 to 375, and to get it in there and get it started. So we're gonna put it in there, and it's gonna bake for 40 minutes. Just like that. We'll check it later on with the light and see if it's pulling away from the sides as it's supposed to slightly, and then it'll be good and golden. They want us to put oil on the top, so we're going to do that afterwards as well. Be back when it's done. All right, so we pulled it out of the oven. Here's the finished product. They've put just a little bit of olive oil on top of them, like it was said in the recipe. And we're pretty excited about having these for dinner. It's the first time I've done this recipe, and so I'm sure it's going to be pretty good. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed following along and have a great day wherever you are.